What up? Back with another edition of RPT, Real Prison Talk with Wes. I know it's been a while, so I apologize for that. Before we get into it, I apologize for the hiatus, the long hiatus. Life just gets in the way sometimes. I got a lot going on, and I don't always have time to communicate with you guys the way I like to, Sometimes I got to take care of my bills. I don't get no monetary gain for what I do here. So sometimes I have to push this to the back burner so that I can do what I need to do to take care of my business and support my family. That's the word I was looking for, support my family. But today we're going to get into it. Another one of my subscribers, she hit me up. Her situation is a lot similar to a lot of you female situation. She wants to know if her question was, do a lot of inmates that come home, do they really change? Or do they just go back to their old wild ways? And her reason for asking is because she's met a guy. She met him in prison through Facebook. He's been talking to her. I think it's been a couple months now. And he's calling her his lady, and he's telling her his plans. Mind you, when you're in prison, especially like I was in a 23-1, you're in a cell, nothing but your thoughts. So guys will come up with a lot of plans of shit that they want to do when they get out, because that's all you thinking about while you in there. Yo, when I get out, I want to do this. When I get out, I want to do that. So if you're fortunate enough to have a lady in your corner, then a lot of those plans that you're making probably will consist of the two of you guys doing things together. Do guys always follow up with these plans? Now, that's where things get a little tricky at. Now, from my knowledge, what I've noticed, it seems like, because we both know prison is a revolving door. I've been in prison, my last bid, the 6 years that I've been in, I've seen the same faces come and go, come and go, come and go. So, she's not wrong for worrying about, is this guy just giving me jail talk and then he gonna come home and go right back to what he was doing and get sent right back to jail, go right back to his wild ways? That is a legitimate concern. But from my opinion, what I've observed, the revolving door is really, I would say, 75 to 80% skid bidders. A lot of the guys that do big bids learn their lesson and don't come back. I don't know the statistics, the statistical number, so I can't give you a factual number, but I'm willing to put one of my paychecks that the percentage is high for guys that do big bids, come home, and don't come back. Some guys learn a lesson. That's basically what it is. And some guys never do. But it's harder to learn your lesson when you keep getting slaps on the wrist. It's like, I do something wrong and I go to jail for 3 months. And I come home and I do it again because I only went to jail for 3 months. I never was that lucky. That's called a TS bid. Anything under 2 years, I never was that lucky to get a TS bid. But I've been in jail with dudes that I'm in jail for selling crack. The dude right next to me is in jail for selling crack. Except for they gave me 12 years. And they gave this dude 90 days in a program or some crazy shit like that. So, shit, I learned my lesson. Judge didn't even have to send me there. When he said 12 years, I was already fixed. I said, I'm good, bro. You ain't have to send me there for all that time. But that's what happens, Some dudes learn a lesson. And a lot of them dudes be the dudes that sit there long enough to learn. Sometimes you got to sit there long enough to learn it. when they just put you down for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, then kick you right back out, that whole 30 days, 60 days, or whatever you was sitting there, the only thing you thinking about doing is the bullshit that you was doing, getting back to the bullshit that you was doing before you got there. So, if he's in on a skid bid, yeah, it's a possibility that he might come home and go right back to the same shit. Big possibility he might come home and come right back. If he's been there long enough to learn his lesson, though, then he might not. He might come home, get on the straight and narrow. I've been home 3 years now. Had the same job since I came home, you know. Just came home and grinded it out, because another thing that prison, while you're sitting there, the longer you sit, the more walls are broken down. You know, when I first came to prison, I used to make fun of the working man. I was a drug dealer that really thought it makes no sense to wait a whole week for a check that I can get in a day or two, you know? So I kind of made fun of the working man, you know? And then I went to jail and I worked for 75 cents a day and busted my ass doing it. Grinded to get to $1.50 a day. When I was making the big bucks, I grinded to get to $1.50 a day. And it's still, I'm not the brightest, so I had to still sit there for about, I don't know how long it was before it hit me, but I sat there. I sat for a minute before I said, I'm in here working hard to please these officers for 75 cents, $1.50, when I could have just got a job and did the same thing out there. And yes, I came home and I only started at $13.50. But coming from $1.50, $13.50 an hour was a huge jump. So while all these dudes was complaining, I was grateful. The time that I spent, it actually changed me. You have to be there long enough to change in order to come home and do different. So the changing of my mentality is what had me able to go get a job that only paid me $13.50 an hour. Whereas before I went to jail, I was laughing at those type of dudes, not knowing that I could have been got this job, $13.50 an hour, and I'm making twice that. Same job. I never left. It's just hard work pays off, you know? And whether it's street shit, legal shit, what you put in is what you get out. So I came in and I wasn't making the most, but I put in hard work because I was used to making so much less. And to show their gratification, my employers kept throwing money at me, kept giving me promotions. Every time I turned around, I was being promoted. Now I'm the night shift manager over the whole shop, and I'm making more than double $13.50. I'm not going to tell you what I'm making, but I can just tell you is if you times that by 2, and then add a few dollars, I'll be there. You know, it's not a lot of money, but it's a lot more than I started with. So, to go back to the question at hand, do I think that he will come home and go back to his old ways? It depends on the individual, and it depends on if he's been setting down long enough, or the mentality that he had that sent him to prison. Has that mentality been broken? Sometimes some guys never get it, you know? I probably would have been one of them guys to never get it. I was just so unfortunate enough that when I got to prison, I was sentenced to all this time, and then I started having family issues. My kids started having issues. I just had a lot attacking me to where I felt like, how did I put myself in this predicament? Like, and now how the hell can I get out and never get back in this situation again, you know? So I think you will have to, the way you will find this out, you will have to kind of like, you know the guy better than me. So you will have to like pick his brain, pick his mentality, see how smart he is, see if he's the type of person that can learn quickly, or if it takes him a long time to learn things. If he's a quick learner, then base it on how long he's been in prison. Has he been in prison long enough to learn his lesson? Is the things he's saying, is they making sense to the lifestyle that he's living? Like, is he saying he's going to come home and get a job, but he's in there goofing off, doing all the wrong things, catching tickets and stuff? Or is he like, is his mentality, because my mentality had changed. It wasn't like I was in prison talking about I'm gonna come home and get a job, and I was still running around trying to beat dudes up and do all type of stupid. No, my whole mentality had changed. I got a job in prison. I went to college in prison. I did numerous self-help courses in prison, aside from my college courses. So when he's changed, it's not going to be his words that change. It's going to be his whole aura, his movements. You're going to see the things he's saying. He can't do them because he's not free right now, but you're going to see glimpses of what he's saying in his actions. So you have to do your research. You might have to do some investigating, and then hopefully he's one of them guys that got the message, you know, and he's not trying to go back and forth to prison like a lot of these kids is doing, throwing their lives away like I was doing. And I hope I answered your question. On that note, peace. Oh, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button. If you like the content, hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions, I can't believe I almost forgot this. If you have any questions, you can hit me up on here. You can ask me anything you want to ask me. Or you can hit me up. You can DM me on my Instagram, which is wes.smith.129. That's wes.smith.129. Have patience with me, but I guarantee you everyone will get answered. I will get to everybody. If you have a question, I will answer your question. If there's a video that needed to be done, I will put up the video in due time. You know, I'm only one person. I have nobody helping me. So have a little patience with me. It's coming. And until next time, peace.